Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to a News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. Trinidad and Tobago praised at the recently concluded CARICOM Intersessional Summit held in Haiti. The government is moving to expand tertiary education facilities and training throughout the country. And Trinidad and Tobago hosts the second assembly meeting of the CKLN CaribNet. In our top story, Trinidad and Tobago is being praised for the stance it took at the recently concluded CARICOM Intersessional Summit held in Haiti. Prime Minister the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessor presented a plan on regional security at the event.
Regional security held the main focus of many meetings and diplomatic conversations at the CARICOM Summit. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor presented approximately 4 new proposals on intensifying the fight against crime in the region. Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, praised the initiatives put forward by this country at the summit as they were well received.
Trinidad and Tobago at this conference and the Prime Minister was very decisive and very well prepared in relation to security matters. And we adopted the agenda which he had put forward on it and the mechanisms. I think it is a tremendous act of leadership on the security front by Trinidad and Tobago at this conference.
The initiatives led to an agreement that will see CARICOM approach the United Nations for support in forming a treaty to limit the movement of small arms and ammunition throughout the region. Meanwhile, the region may soon expand as Prime Minister Persad-Bissessor is urging that CARICOM embraces its regional siblings. She explains this will strengthen the group and its world influence.
As Minister and I were discussing, and with Secretary General LaRocque, is the opening up of the CARICOM to bring in other nation states in so that we widen our voices. We make our voices louder with more member states within the CARICOM. So we are looking at, I think, Dominican Republic, Martinique, Haiti, Guadeloupe, the French-speaking French islands. I understand they are interested.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Winston Ducaran, is echoing the sentiments of Mrs. Persad-Bissessor. He insists there is valuable economic space to be gained and markets to be opened if the region is expanded.
Trinidad and Tobago have been advocating for some time that there is need for a new convergence model in economic integration. This fits in very well with our own strategy to widen the Caribbean beyond the current countries to include countries around us. This will increase the market by including countries like Dominican Republic, like French Guyana, and so many of the other countries in the region. Perhaps we may even consider one day the inclusion of Cuba into a wider Caribbean economic community. That, therefore, is looking ahead. And where it would lead is creating more economic space.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor will be better able to oversee her grand plans for the region when she succeeds the Haitian President Michel Martelly as head of CARICOM in July of this year. And as the 26th CARICOM Intersessional Summit concludes, the glowing words of praise from St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is evidence that the region anticipates the ascension of Mrs. Persad-Bissessor to the post of CARICOM leader. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
An up-close and personal approach is being taken to alleviate the number of issues that face our nation's schools and students. This as the Education Minister continues to tour schools across the country.
Minister of Education, the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh, is ensuring that he pays a visit to each school in Trinidad and Tobago in an effort to better understand and represent the school system in this country. The Honorable Minister has already visited a number of schools and on Wednesday continued in similar fashion in South Trinidad. He says the purpose of the tour is to get a first-hand look at matters related to school infrastructure, discipline and other issues.
Issues relating to the school's infrastructure, the school's performance, academic performance, the school's discipline, the relationship with the PTAs, the relationship with the school boards, early childhood education centers, the curriculum aspect, teacher absenteeism and irregularity, the financial aspects of the management of the schools. So it's a number of areas where we can identify issues at first hand at the school themselves, and the relationship of the school supervisors, SS1, 2, and 3, in relationship with the principals, checking also the registers at the school, and of course the surrounding areas related to the schools.
Minister Gopi Singh maintains that the visits give a proper idea of what is happening at each of the schools. He says he is even working alongside all members of parliament as he tours the schools across constituencies.
And we have decided to give support to all the members of parliament, all 41. You would have seen me in Diego Martin with Mr. Rowley and Avery Brown, and I have been to one or two other MPs in the north. I've been to with one or two members of parliament in central, and of course southeast, and we now move into southwest and so on. So over a period of time, hopefully within probably another 6 months, we should be able to visit a significant amount of the schools. I've visited 66 already, and today we have 12 more that we'll be visiting, from early childhood education, primary and secondary as well.
Minister Gopi Singh is known for having up-to-the-second statistics on areas relating to the education system in Trinidad and Tobago, which he can recall at any given moment. This national tour is expected to enhance his ability to tackle issues at our nation's schools and bring a resolution to years of concerns that are yet to be addressed. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
After the break, we tell you about the expansion of tertiary education facilities and training centers throughout the country. Stay with us. Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago continues to prove that within the country, there's a wealth of knowledge and experiences that propels locals to become internationally renowned persons in various fields. One such local will speak at an international institute, and in so doing is expected to promote this country.
Trinidad and Tobago will have strong representation on the international law front, making a contribution to better understanding the law of the sea. Justice Anthony Lucky, who sits as a judge on the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, has been approached by the International Maritime Organization's International Maritime Law Institute to deliver a lecture on the law of the sea. Justice Lucky says his speech will focus on the unique contribution of Trinidad and Tobago to this important topic.
And this unique contribution goes right back to when we were a colony and when we became independent, how we continued to develop the law of the sea. And in this brief moment of time, I can tell you that the unitization treaty with Venezuela, where the boundaries overlap, it's the first in the world. So much so that other countries have asked for copies of it. It's just that I don't come back to Trinidad and Tobago, go on television and say, look, this has been done.
According to Justice Lucky, the distinguished persons who deliver lectures at the Institute range from top professors to presidents and prime ministers. He says he was taken by surprise when he received the call to deliver the lecture.
And there are people who've made valuable contributions. For example, the late Lennox Bala, who was one of the early judges, and when he died, I went on. And he was one of the fathers of this whole convention on the law of the sea. Then I had to fill a position of a man who has been admired virtually worldwide. So when you go there, people want to hear about what Trinidad and Tobago is doing. And what we are doing is unique. And that's why they've called me. And in a way, it's going to be publicized worldwide, because the PhD students who come there are from all over the world. So they would certainly hear about Trinidad and Tobago. So I spent the last week or two preparing a lecture, and we would be put on the map. And well, we are already on the map, but people don't know really what we are doing.
Justice Lucky will speak on Thursday and Friday at the Institute, which is located at Malta. a southern European country consisting of an archipelago situated in the center of the Mediterranean. The Law Institute is a world-recognized center for the training of specialists in international maritime law. Special emphasis is given to international regulations adopted by the International Maritime Organization. The institute provides suitably qualified candidates, particularly from developing countries, with high-level facilities for advanced training, study, and research in international maritime law. Justice Lucky is also a qualified legislative drafter and a member of the International Journal and will be speaking on these two topics. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
The government is moving to expand tertiary education facilities and training throughout the country. This is the insight given by Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Senator the Honorable Fazal Karim.
In Senate, Minister Karim says both COSTAT and UE have been given land to expand their actual facilities. He believes government has recognized the importance of expanding the tertiary education sector.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I wish to advise that under this government, the open campus of the University of the West Indies, the fourth campus of UWI. So you have Mona, Cave Hill, St. Augustine. The open campus is the non-campus territories, including Trinidad on the underserved communities. For the first time, they have received 10 acres of prime property north of the Diwali Nagar to construct their state-of-the-art Central University campus. We're expanding.
Minister Karim says COSTAT has been given 30 acres of land in central Trinidad where the new campus will be built. This, he says, will save the $1 million a month COSTAT spends in rent. Minister Karim, meanwhile, reveals plans are afoot to expand UWI's medical faculty with some innovative teaching methods set to be implemented.
We are expanding the University of the West Indies Faculty of Medical Sciences. For the first time, we are expanding the dentistry program. For the first time, we have a student union building on the campus at Mount Hope. For the first time, we have started under this government the distance training mode from the San Fernando General Hospital, a dilapidated doctor's quarters, where we are teaching live from Mount Hope to San Fernando. And we are going to be teaching live. Are we going to connect Tobago? Every hospital, this cabinet under Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissassa has agreed that any new hospital that we are constructing will have a teaching arm, a teaching facility.
The minister says this country's children should be able and encouraged to pursue their field of study in Trinidad and Tobago without having to go abroad to do so. This, he says, will save the country millions of dollars.
There are many benefits in keeping our taxpayers' dollar and our children, our boys and girls here in Trinidad to study. And therefore, rather than spend $42.5 million annually to send them to a medical school elsewhere, why can't I use that money and build capacity and keep them at home? Why not?
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago, through the Distance Learning Secretariat of the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, has for the first time been afforded with the tremendous privilege of hosting the second assembly meeting of the CKLN CaribNet. The workshops will feature guest speaker Mr. Dale Smith, Director of Network and Telecommunications Service from the University of Oregon.
Gentlemen, over the next week, your work here will not only contribute to setting the tone of discussions for this assembly forum, but it will play a pivotal role in setting the strategic framework for establishing a new realm of academic research and academic learning within the Caribbean Basin as CKLN charts its way forward for the coming year.
The Permanent Secretary to the Ministry, Ms. Angela Jervius, tells participants that their contributions will bring the realization of yet another milestone in the history of the Ministry's partnership.
The events over the next 2 weeks are indeed the culmination of a long history of many collaborations between our ministry, the CKLN, and a host of key partners, the latest being the University of Oregon's NSRC.
She says the launch of the CaribNet will bring this initiative full circle, as it will facilitate the complete implementation and operation of an integrated connection and exposing students and academics to unprecedented opportunities for information and resource sharing that can span across the country, the region, and the globe. Up next, the very latest in the TT Pro League. Stay with us. Welcome back. A pair of rescheduled matches featured in the TT Pro League on Wednesday, which gave second-placed Caledonia AIA and third-placed W Connection a chance to make up on ground on runaway leaders Defence Force. Wayne Cunningham was at the Atterbolden Stadium, and here's how the teams perform.
In the TT Pro League on the weekend, W Connection FC was knocked out of third spot on the points table following a loss to current leaders, the Defence Force. On Wednesday, the Savanetta boys were hoping to regain some ground when they met league debutants Central FC in a rescheduled first-round fixture at the Atterbolden Stadium in Couva. The game was essentially a battle in midfield for most of the first half. Connection's Joven Jones giving Marvin Phillip his first real test midway in the period. Central FC can boast of a talented mix of experience and youth, and one of the exciting youngsters is Johan Peltier, who was proving quite a handful for the W defence. And at the other end, Joven Jones was doing the same for his team, but still no goals after 35 minutes. As the half was nearing a close, Stefano Rizal made a fine run after being sent through by Joven, but his shot grazed the outside of the upright to leave the scores tied at 0 at the half. Central were looking a much better outfit since the last meeting between these two neighbours when they were on the wrong side of a 3-0 thrashing. But at that time, Connection had ace striker Sharon Winchester in their ranks. He now campaigns in Finland with FF Yarrow, and his strike partner, Jarrell Brito, is nursing an injury. The Savanetta boys still had the son of former strike squad defender Kelvin Jones, and Joven confirmed his pedigree with this strike in the 70th minute. The rocket from Jones, leaving national goalkeeper Marvin Phillip grasping the air, and it's 1-0 W. Connection was now in a gear, and only the upright saved the Sharks from Joven's second just minutes later. Central did make some late inroads into their opponent's defence, but could not capitalise. The Joven Jones goal would be the only one in this encounter, as W Connection FC regained third spot on the standings with a win over Central FC. In the early match at the Atterbolden, Caledonia AIA held off a gritty St. Dan's Rangers with a 2-1 win to stay second on the table, 8 points behind the military men. All the goals in this match coming in the first half, with Kareem Tiny Joseph opening the scoring for the Mova Laventil team in the 13th minute. Trevin Caesar got Caledonia's second 4 minutes later, while the lone item from Rangers came from Tyrone Charles on the stroke of half-time. League matches continue on the weekend with a doubleheader at the Atterbolden Stadium in Couva on Friday from 6 p.m. and on Saturday at the Marvin Lee Stadium in Macoya starting at 5 p.m. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we return, the Public Utilities Minister calls for citizens to get fit. Stay with us. Welcome back. A call for citizens to get fit is being made by the Minister of Public Utilities, the Honourable Nizam Baksh, who says it will be a worthwhile investment for you, your loved ones and those who will come after. The Minister made this appeal at a lighting ceremony for the Naparima College Recreation Grounds in San Fernando. Minister of Public Utilities Nizam Baksh says Naparima Boys College, with its emphasis on holistic education, has given sportsmen a high caliber. Men like former captain of Trinidad and Tobago cricket team and West Indian batsman Darren Ganga and footballer Leonson Lewis, who played with the famous strike squad of the 1980s. He says NAPS, as the college is affectionately known, has made an indelible mark in the annals of school sports, winning an impressive number of intercol, league, and national championship cricket titles.
But I have been informed that their sports program extends way beyond just cricket and football. Naparima Boys College has an extensive number of sports clubs, including table tennis, swimming, and even scuba diving.
The minister also sought to congratulate the college on its robust sports program, sporting initiatives like theirs which plays an integral role in keeping our youth healthy. He adds, this is a battle that we seem to be losing as time progresses.
Data from the Ministry of Health and Caribbean Food and Nutrition Institute indicates that over the past decade, there has been a 300% increase in children who are overweight and obese. That figure, ladies and gentlemen, is a staggering one, especially when we bear in mind the life-threatening and debilitating diseases that often accompany obesity.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago understands the positive impact that physical and sports have on communities. Their drive to illuminate recreational facilities across the Twin Isle Republic is based on that knowledge. So far, 151 recreation grounds have been lit, and TNTEC's Public Lighting Department is working on lighting 12 more.
To continue improving, we have decided on the construction of a 12 kV link between the Reform and Current substation, the repair of transformer number 1 at Reform substation, and the construction of a link between the St. Cross and Papari Road 12 kV feeder. Other major projects are the upgrading of the substation at Philippine, Sign Village, Rio Claro, and Tabaquit. In 2014, we had to see a refurbished administration office, a new TNTEC center, a new field office and sub-stores at Reform, a new depot at Pinal, and refurbished depots in Point Forte and Rio Claro.
The Minister of Public Utilities says he cannot see the well-being of the citizenry without their active participation. He is therefore encouraging citizens to get fit and lead a healthy lifestyle. The function concluded with the switching on of the lights by the dignitaries, led by the Minister of Public Utilities. The teams then took to the field for a 10-over-side win-ball match. And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.